Welcome to Planning for the Future, the podcast, with our guest, Joe Allbright.
Welcome to Planning for the Future. We're here with Joe Allbright. He's a best-selling co-author of Don't Go Broke in a Nursing Home, and his company is called Retire West Texas. Welcome, Joe.
Thanks for having me on, Brendan.
So let's just get right into it. When it comes to financial planning and planning for long-term care, getting started is probably the biggest thing. Just actually taking that first step, right?
Well, exactly. You know, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about the long-term care industry, and it's come a long way, baby, you might say. It's amazing how the industry has developed over time and the quality of the products. Nowadays, you don't lose your premium if you die from a heart attack. And that was a big concern about folks paying premiums, increasing premiums for many, many years, have the big heart attack, and then it's over, and those premium dollars are down the drain. So, wonderful products now where your family gets tax-free dollars if you go by a heart attack or something along that line and never even experience long-term care.
Yeah, that's what they used to call the, either use it or lose it, right?
That's right. Kind of like having car insurance your whole life and never have a wreck. You don't get any of that premium back. But with the newer products, they've come a long way.
That's good. I mean, and, knowing that you're getting some sort of return on your investment more than just, everybody wants to buy that peace of mind. And that's what long-term care planning is all about, is buying that peace of mind. But if you know that regardless there's going to be some return on your investment, that certainly helps.
Yeah, you get a lot of leverage with the new products.
Yeah. It's about making your money work for you more than anything.
That's true. So why pay for long-term care with 100% dollars when you can pay for it with discounted dollars?
Right. Somebody told me it was like making $1 do the work of $4.
There you go.
When somebody comes in, how do you go about figuring out what's going to be the best steps for them? Because everybody's plan is different. Everybody's life and everybody's situation is different. So what do you do to start working with them that way?
Well, generally, we start out working with folks that want some advice about their own retirement future, how it's going to look, and is the plan they have in their head going to work out? And once we gather up the data about what they have and what their expenses are, we work to achieve nirvana, you might say. The perfect plan and everything's hunky-dory. You'll never run out until you're after 100 years old. Once we get to that point, then we bring in life happens events. Long-term care, for instance, can wipe out 10 years of savings. A major market crash can upset your apple cart too. Perhaps not quite enough life insurance. What happens if one of you passes early? So we try to get the perfect plan, and then we stress test it, if you will, to make sure you'll still be okay, even if those events happen.
Yeah, and again, that's nobody plans for a heart attack or a stroke. Nobody says, on March 17th, I think I'm going to have a stroke.
Correcto.
You have to get some sort of planning just in case. You need some of that oh crap insurance, right?
That's true. And the earlier you get started, the healthier, then the better job we can do for you.
Right. But some people worry that it's too late. Like I've already got diabetes. I've already had a heart attack, but I don't have any financial planning, especially when it comes to long-term care or life insurance. But it's never necessarily too late. It's just a matter of your options, right?
That's right. There's a lot of ways to solve problems, even if the cows are already out of the barn.
Right. That's a great way to put it. So what are some of the techniques that you recommend? So say I am 50 years old, I've had a minor heart attack, and I have diabetes.
Well, you're still going to need to eat and possibly do things that you like to do. We have some outstanding annuity products, and regardless of what you may hear on the radio, there are some really quality annuities out there. And we specialize in the kind that have low or no fees. One particular product has an income doubler. So even if you're uninsurable now, when it comes time to turn that income on, and should you need or qualify for long-term care, the income is going to double during that stay. So there's several other products out there that you don't necessarily have to be super healthy to qualify for.
Right, but again, it just comes down to options of what you can do, but it's never too late, really.
I agree. You sometimes can't help it. You
procrastinate.
Yeah, procrastination, the number one reason folks fail financially. But like I say, even if the problem is already there, maybe we've got a healthy client concerned about his own affairs who may have a mother or dad already experiencing or about to experience a long-term care issue. There's some methods to help the family cover those expenses and also help the at-home, or they call it in-community spouse, go on with their life.
And one of the things that I notice a lot, and I'm sure that you've seen it, is getting that true understanding. So you might have a husband and wife that come in, and the husband says, well, I'm not worried about myself. I just want to make sure that she's covered. So I want her, I want long-term care on her. I want life insurance on her. Don't worry about me. But in essence, that's really helping the husband over the wife, because, he would be the one reaping the benefits if it happened to her, but generally women outlast the men anyways.
Well, that's true. Again, life happens. That kind of reminds me of a friend of mine's mother-in-law, whose husband, Mr. Healthy, retired from a major oil company with a healthy pension and decided to take 100% on himself. 3 years later, he dies, and his poor spouse was without that pension for the next 30 years. And so, the example you just brought up sounds similar. As soon as they plan things to happen that way, the exact opposite will happen.
It's about setting goals for what you want, like you say, finding that nirvana first, and then actually making it reality.
Right. And we work a lot with folks to come up with an income floor, guaranteed income for the rest of their lives, and we major in increasing income too to keep up with inflation. So the floor would be made up of Social Security, pensions, and then financial products that we put together that guarantee a lifetime of increasing income.
And then is there tax-free strategies that come in there as well?
Well, now that you bring it up, that is a big issue, especially for those that have saved thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in products like 401ks, IRAs. The government, as we all know, has major debt problems that they keep kicking down the road. It just doesn't make sense to get a tax break on little dollars that you're putting into these plans, and then 10, 15, 20 years from now, when you need the money, you're at the IRS's. It's up to the IRS to decide how much they're going to charge you. You don't have any control over what the future taxes are going to do, and they will be higher. There's no doubt about that. So we do have planning techniques to where we convert what I call forever tax dollars, like in your IRAs and 401ks, into never tax dollars. And we use Roth conversions and product I call a super Roth. But in any event, over time, one can do something about the looming problem out in the future of the taxes taking a third or fourth or half of what you saved. So it's kind of like the farmer. If the IRS rolled up one morning and said, hey, we're going to let you have the choice here. You're going to get to pay taxes on the seed or your harvest. Well, what do you think the farmer would pick? Well, obviously, he'd rather pay taxes on a sack of seeds,
right,
versus the bounty when it's time to collect. And so the IRS gives every one of us an opportunity to do just that. You just need to know the most effective ways to accomplish it. So I encourage folks to work on eliminating as much of the taxes as possible in the future on your harvest.
That's a good analogy. I like that. Of course, I want to pay tax on the seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense because, you know what, if that seed really sprouts and, the price of corn goes up.
There you go.
That works out well. What about asset protection? Does that come into play a lot?
Well, it does. Most of the financial products we use are protected by law from things like lawsuits or creditors. Also, when a family is experiencing a long-term care issue and there are limited resources, there are techniques available whereby the at-home spouse can still retain a sizable amount of cash, and the spouse who's suffering from the long-term care issue can access the Medicaid type care that they need, but still not completely bankrupt the at-home spouse. So, yes, there's some asset protection things we can do for families that are already in trouble.
Right. I mean, because, nobody wants to lose that bag of seed before it even has a chance to sprout.
Well, that's true.
This is Planning for the Future with our guest, Joe Allbright. To get a free copy of Joe's book, call 432-550-4500.
What about veterans? When it comes to veterans, there's a lot of different things out there when it comes to veterans, as far as creating some tax-free money for them and some extra benefits that just the average everyday non-veteran can't get, right?
Well, that's true. The veterans may have access to up to $26,000 a year in tax-free money to cover long-term care. I know my father-in-law, for instance, experienced long-term care needs, and we were able to get some really quality help from the VA. And most folks don't even know that's a benefit available for veterans that qualify.
Yeah, and it just takes a little bit of conversation to find out.
Well, that's true.
There's a lot of times where, someone might come in thinking that there is no hope, and just with a few questions here and there, doing a little bit of investigating, you're like, well, you can do this. You can do this. Did you know that you could do that? And then I bet you start to see that smile start to pop up on their face when that happens, doesn't it?
Well, it does give a lot of relief.
The biggest thing that I know is peace of mind. How many times have you or somebody else out there tossed and turned at night? I know that I have, making sure that, I've got a wife and kids. I've got 3 kids, 2 boys in college right now, another one in high school. And there's a whole lot of nights that I toss and turn like, holy cow, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to do that? And do I have enough set aside?
Well, true. Have you got enough life insurance and those sort of things? Sounds like you're suffering from what I call maltuition, with those boys in school and another one on the way. Wish you a lot of luck with that.
Maltuition. I like that. That's